Hey guys, today we're going to be doing what if Pucci never discovered weather. So this could also be like a what if weather never met his sister story, and it has pretty huge ripple effects throughout the rest of JoJo from part 6 onwards, because if you didn't know, weather's stand disc plays a pivotal role in Porio even winning at the end of part 6 and helping to reset it to a good universe, I guess you could say, instead of Pucci's heaven plan succeeding and everything like that. Weather's disc not being there and him probably not being in the story, to be honest, because if they never met, he wouldn't have been there wouldn't have been the mob getting hired by Pucci and the clan, I guess you could call it the mob. I'm pretty sure we all know what it's based off of in real life. It's three letters. um yeah, that he would have never been beaten or lynched or anything like that. Pucci's sister never meeting Weather would lead to that never happening, and it would also lead to her surviving and never killing herself out of like the grief of losing Weather. So yeah, I mean that would have pretty huge effects on Pucci in general, because I think that is one of the main reasons why he actually became like a proper disciple of Dio in the first place, from what I recall. So he could have just became like a regular priest. He would have taken possibly that dying mother who kidnapped not Pucci, who kidnapped Weather as a baby. He could have taken her story and confession to the grave, as said in his oath or whatever. That probably would have happened if Weather and his sister never met. And yeah, I mean, that would have huge ripple effects. Pucci maybe wouldn't have even become the villain. Part 6 in itself maybe wouldn't have even happened. Jolene could have been arrested there again, but I mean, she would have gotten out eventually, even if that did happen, and wouldn't really affect the story of JoJo's entirely at all, really. Um, it could have followed another like way, another branch that this could have happened instead of Pucci's plan and everything going into action, the heaven plan and all gravity and all that stuff. That would have never happened. Even if he did go along with that, I'm pretty sure Jolene would have died somewhat early on, when Weather was supposed to make it rain frogs. I think she would have either died during that scene, or she would have never found out who Pucci was, or like about the Stardust, not the stars, about the Star Platinum stand disc. So yeah, that would have never happened, meaning that the story would be extremely different. Even if that did happen, they were still somehow able to get through that. I already said, the ending. Pucci would have won. He would have had his new universe. So yeah, I mean that would have been the end of JoJo's. Part 7 and 8 probably wouldn't have even happened because they're in their own universe separately. So they could have possibly happened, but yeah, I don't know if they would. Uh, Another route that the story could have taken, that I think would have been really cool to see in just the regular version of Part 6 in general, would be Giorno showing up, because he could get to meet his other siblings, his half brothers or whatever. Without Pucci, they wouldn't have even really played a part in the story. Their lives would have gone on as they would have generally. Like one was a drug addict or whatever. You know, the other one was on like you remember. I don't have to explain the whole thing. I don't even remember the whole thing, to be honest. I remember most of it, but whatever. My memory is not too clear on that. But anyways, that's besides the point. That would have never really happened. Their lives would have just kept going downhill as they were before. And Giorno being there could have been really cool, so he could meet his other brothers and see what would happen. That would change the story massively. And you could have had part 6 be like that, like a sequel of Giorno's story, or maybe a sequel of Josuke's story. Maybe Josuke and his kids, or Giorno's kids, or someone like that could be one of the main characters. I mean, timeline wise, I think it would line up, because the amount of time that takes place in between the end of part 5 and the start of part 6 is, I think, 10 years in timeline. So maybe not Jorno's kids, but Josuke could have had kids at that point, like young teen kids or something like that. In 1999, 2011, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, technically he could have, I guess, but maybe not. Either way, it would have been really cool to see other JoJo's in that part besides just Jolene and Jotaro. they could have been the main characters instead, maybe, or something like that. Either way, those are just a few other optional outcomes that they could have had for part 6 if the Pucci heaven plan thing never happened. So yeah, I think that's could have been a pretty interesting outcome for the story. Either of those branches, I guess you could say, like what if Pucci never discovered Weathers being there, or if Weather never met his sister and all that stuff. So yeah, that's about as much as I think I can expand this story. I can't think of anything else to expand it at the moment. So yeah, that's about it for this What If. It's been a while. Thanks, guys. Bye.